If you do not have any questions, we'll start. About your answer scripts, I shall be able to give you the answer scripts maybe on Tuesday, I think. Okay, so please wait for that. Okay, last time we discussed about the Hungarian algorithm. So Hungarian algorithm says if you have a matrix and you want to find the minimum cost assignment or minimum cost diagonal, then what you do, you first get the reduced cost matrix. So here the reduced cost matrix is, so you first take the row minimum, subtract it, so that should be 0, 1, 2, 0, 3, 5 and 0, 3, 6, and then subtract the column minimum. So from there you will get 0, 0, 0, 0, 2, 2, and then 0, 3, 4, and then uh, cover the zeros by minimum possible lines. And for that, the algorithm you have to, this is a small this thing, so you may think of doing it by hand, that it is visible or something, but when it is a 20 by 20 matrix given or more, you will have to fall back on the star prime algorithm or some other algorithm. So then you have to, in order to cover the all the zeros by minimum number of lines, you will have to use the star prime algorithm. So then star prime algorithm says what you do. Now in the matrix itself, read from the, according to our this thing, read from the toplet, star it, and then that is it. I mean, there is no other zeros except that zeros column or row. So in that case, in the beginning, you will be covering this by a single line. Then you will have a prime. And this will be covered by a row because of that prime. And then you will have another prime, and in which, like in which row there is no star, so you have got a star prime sequence or prime star sequence. And that will be 0 to 3, sorry, not 0 to 3 but 0 to 1 prime, then 0, 1, 1 star, then 0, 1, 2 prime. So this is the star prime sequence. After that, you make the primes in this sequence star, and the star you erase, so that the next matrix you get is 0, 0 star, 0, 0 star, 0, 2, 3, 2, 4, and then again apply your star prime algorithm. And if you apply star prime algorithm, it will cover the starred zeros by columns first, and you get a prime. So for which the moment you get a prime, in the next step it will cover that star, the first, I mean 1/2th place star, because that is the star available in its row. So it will cover by this. It is covered by this 2, 3, 2, 4. Okay, so you have covered all the zeros of the matrix by lines, minimum number of lines. Okay, because of the star prime sequence. And then the Hungarian algorithm says, so Hungarian algorithm just says in one step that cover all the zeros by minimum number of lines. So actually this detail is not part of Hungarian algorithm. It just said somehow or other you cover all the zeros of the matrix, okay, by minimum number of lines. But given a 50 by 50 matrix, how do you know that you have covered all the zeros of the matrix by minimum possible lines? How do you know? You will have to follow some algorithm that you know that which correctness you also know. Okay, so one of them is this bipartite matching algorithm. So essentially from here, by Hungarian algorithm, you come to this place. And then after that it says, okay, all the elements are covered, all the elements, not the zeros, all the elements are covered. The answer is no. That basically means you have not found a diagonal. So that is some uncovered part of the matrix. The moment you have uncovered part of the matrix, what you do, you take the minimum element of the uncovered part and subtract it from the uncovered part. So then, and you have to add that to the intersection part. So the minimum element is 2, so you add it here, keep 0 star here, 0, keep that prime here, no problem if you want. 0 star, not theta, but 0. Zero star, and subtract the minimum over here, so that becomes 0, 1, 0, 2. Okay, and you had covered it by the minimum number of lines at that point of time. Fine. So out of this, you, like in the uncovered place, you have created a few zeros. So start reading and prime one element. The moment you prime one element, so in the next you'll have 2, 0 star, 0 prime, that line is there, and then 0 star, you put a prime over in the 2/2th place, and therefore that column changes to row. Now you have 0, 2. Okay. Now you put a prime over here in the 3rd place, the same matrix, 2, 0 star, 0 prime, 0 star, 0 prime, 1, 0 prime, one more prime you give. And you see that for this 0 prime, you do not have a 0 star in its row, and therefore you have found a star prime or prime star sequence. And what is that prime star sequence that you have found? Now you have found 0, 3, 1 prime, and then 0 star to 1, then 0 prime to 2, and then 0 star 1 2, and then 0 prime 1 3, and then you what you do, you change the primes into stars and stars into normal zeros. So then you get the matrix 2 0 0 0 0 1 0 0 2, and then the 3 1 0 prime 3 1, that will become a star, 0 prime 2 2 will become a star, and 0 prime 1 3 will become a star, and whatever extra stars you had earlier, that you will keep. Okay, only these two stars, that is the 0 2 1 and 0 1 2, those stars will become normal 0. If you have some outside stars, they will remain. So that's when you have found you already have got. So this is a zero cost diagonal, for this matrix. So therefore this is the minimum cost. So this, and so the minimum cost minimum cost, or rather a minimum cost solution, is what was that matrix name? Did I keep? Oh, I have not given any name, so let me assume it A. So A13, A22, A31, and then you can write the cost. Cost is equal to what is the sum of the diagonals? Like 3, 3, 4. So cost is equal to 10. Okay, so that is how you would solve it. So this is what I have described it here one by one. Sometimes you may find more this thing. For example, you could have also used A21 and A21 and A32. That is also you could have taken, and there also you would have got the same value. Okay. Now, whether the algorithm will terminate in finitely many steps? Yes, it will terminate in finitely many steps. See, if the costs are integer, then suppose you have first the reduced cost. Suppose you have C, which is n by n. Costs are greater than or equal to 0, and I assume C is reduced. Okay, and then so okay, C reduced. Assume that one. Then what happened in C? What happened? You have covered C by maybe R rows, and then maybe some C columns. These many, so you have covered all the zeros. Okay, imagine that stage where you have covered C with not the reduced, actually, yeah, like in the beginning. So first you have the cost matrix, you convert that to reduced cost matrix. So you have so many zeros, and assume that you have covered C, the zeros of C, with minimum possible lines, and that minimum possible lines is C plus R, that many lines only, and that is less than n. That is where the algorithm will continue. If that is equal to n, that means you have already got n number of stars, so you already have a diagonal. Okay, so assume that is the case. In that case, what you do now, you take the, in that case, what you do now, you take suppose y is the minimum uncovered element. It is the minimum uncovered element. So what you do now, from the uncovered part you subtract y, and at the intersection part you add y. That is what the Hungarian algorithm step says. What does that mean? That means for the new matrix CDAX, so how much you reduced? Now I reduced by uncovered part. How many uncovered parts are there? Now C columns, R rows, so n minus r, that is into n minus c, that is the number of uncovered positions, and from there I reduce by y. Each of them I have decreased by y. That is what I have done. So this is what I have decreased, minus. Okay, I have decreased by that much. What I have added, now I have added at the place of intersection. So there are r many rows, c many columns, so I have added y, rc into y. This much I have done. Okay, so from the old matrix, what I have done, the total amount of change, addition and subtraction, that I have done is this much, which is equal to okay, I take a minus sign, forget this much. Okay, so this is n minus r into n minus c y minus rcy, and so that is equal to negative of, so rcy and rcy, that they minus rcy, they get cancelled. What you have is n square y, that you will have, and then minus n into r plus c, okay, y, this much, which is equal to minus n taken outside. Y also you can take outside. This is, so this is n minus r minus c. But then since I have assumed that c plus r is less than n, so this one, and y was the minimum uncovered element. Remember, all the zeros were covered, and these are integer costs, so the minimum uncovered element is at least 1. Okay, so this fellow is when this value is at least 1, y value is at least 1, so therefore whatever is this thing is less than equal to minus n. Okay, so the change that you have done, okay, that change is at least n. It can be even bigger. Change to what? Now change to the sum of the total elements. So this basically means this means the sum of summation Cij, okay, minus, and if you are comparing Cij was C for the reduced cost matrix, and summation CDAX Ij, where CDAX is the next stage matrix. What is the next stage matrix? And in the next stage matrix, I obtain by reducing y from the uncovered elements and adding y. Okay, so what is the difference between them? Now I see that this CDAX Ij has decreased by at least n. So that means every time you apply that Hungarian algorithm step, that means find the minimum uncovered element, subtract y and add y to the intersections. Every time you do that, you are decreasing the total sum of entries in C by at least n. And since in the beginning, the total sum of entries in C is a finite number, okay, so the algorithm must terminate in finitely many steps. So that is what it shows. Okay, so here is one more, I mean, there are other practical these things, applications you will see in the exercises. One practical application is the following. Suppose there are 4 jobs available, but 3 persons are there, and you want to give each person exactly 1 job and minimize the cost of assignment. And the choices that are given, like person 1 says, if I want to do job 1, then I will charge 12 rupees. Person, I mean, for job 2, 9 rupees, for job 3, 12 rupees, for job 4, 9 rupees. Person 2 says, okay, for job 1 I will take 15, job 2 I will not do, job 3 13, job 4 20, and then person 3 says 4 8 10 6. That's the demand. So how do you solve it? Remember, the algorithm works for square matrices, okay, whether the bipartite matching n by n or even the Hungarian algorithm. So you need to make it square, but how do you exactly make it? Now the way to make it is the following. So here is my C matrix, my problem matrix. It is 12 9 12 9 15. You put infinity or a capital M or something like that, okay, 13 20 4 8 10 6. That's the matrix, that is C, and I have to get 3 stars out of here, okay, and while minimizing the cost. Then the idea is to introduce a virtual person P4 who is demanding, which free, like who is saying that I will do any job for 0 rupees. Ten 6 0 0 0 0, who says I want to do any job, give me any job, I will do it for 0 rupees. So notice that any solution over here, okay, easily gets extended to a solution over here, whatever it is there. So it will be selecting this, it gets selected to a easily get of the same cost. So there is a 1-1 correspondence, it's a bijection, and cost is the same. Therefore finding a minimum cost solution for C is the same as finding a minimum cost solution for CDAX, and therefore you have got your CDAX. The moment you have got your CDAX, you know what to do. All you have to do is apply Hungarian method to find a minimum cost assignment. Okay, so that's what you will do. You reduce it, after reduction, I mean apply. So that is the idea. Okay, so you supply some, you put some zeros and then reduce it, then a star would be visible. Okay, that's what you do. Okay, then some exercises, and then I will be talking because I require this much time only. The integer linear problems. Okay, you remember our in the very beginning we had a very similar problem, that doctors advised me to take this much of vitamin A, this much of vitamin B, this much of vitamin C, something like that. Only the costs I have changed to make it more suitable. And there, if you remember, what amount, and I asked amount in real number of pills do I take to meet the requirements, but that is not I mean, okay, we modeled it to the LPP like this, but that's not the, I mean, and if you really draw, I like these are two variable this thing, so that I can at least easily explain it to you. But whatever we are discussing over here can easily be, once you understand it, can easily be implemented on more variables, higher dimensional things. Okay. Okay. So, but what would happen if, I mean, if the demand is for integer solutions? Okay, the problem in practice would come with the demand of integer solution. You do not take 0.37 of a red pill or a blue pill, right? So you don't do that. Here the set is like 4r plus 2 be greater than equal to 10, 2r plus 4 be greater than equal to 10, 2r plus 18 be greater than equal to 18. So like this upper side, this side is the feasible set. Okay. So over there I want to minimize 6r plus 5b. What do? I like, there are only this upper, when I said this upper side, this is this. After that, this is this. After that, this is this side. So you actually have only 4 vertices in this picture. One is this one. One you are seeing over here. Another you are seeing over here. And one is this one. These are the 4 vertices. With whatever knowledge we have, we know if I want to minimize, I will minimize for the LPP, real numbers as solution. Then I minimize at one of these 4 vertices, whichever is minimized, that is my minimum. But that's with real numbers. Okay, I want integers. What do I do? And not only here, I want integers in a bigger size problem. What do I do? So that is the question. So when those things happen, that is called the integer linear programming problem. Okay. So this is ILP, the integer linear programming problem. Okay. Integer linear programming problems are like easily they can be like seen as they are very, very hard. In fact, the minimum vertex cover problem, which is known to be NP complete, can easily be reduced to this problem. You can reduce the minimum vertex cover problem to this problem by doing this formulation. This is the formulation. What do you do? What does this formulation say? The formulation says that assume that you have to give zeros or 1. Okay, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever you want to do, you give. Okay, actually it ultimately turns out to be 0 and 1 only. You want to give some, so suppose that you have a graph, and at every vertex you want to write down a number, 0, 1, 2, integer, non-negative integer. Okay, z plus. This is for all u belonging to V, right? Just like the space and for all was missing. Okay. So you imagine a graph, and at every vertex you are asked to write integers, non-negative integers, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever you want to write, you write. Condition: you have to minimize the sum of the numbers that you have written. Okay, so you just do not write it arbitrarily 50 50 50 everywhere. Do not do that. Okay. Second, if there is an edge between 2 vertices, then the sum of the numbers you have written, sum of the endpoints must be at least 1. Okay, You cannot just write 0, 0 in both the end vertices. That's not allowed. It has to be at least 1. Okay, that is all. That is the condition. Like, okay, so then you want to minimize the total sum of the numbers written near the vertices with the condition that the sum of the end vertices of any edge is at least 1. Well, that will give you a vertex cover only. Okay, vertex, minimum vertex cover. I mean, it is easy to see. You just have to think about it. Assume that there are 3 vertices you have, such that any edge that you are looking, has an endpoint out of these 3 vertices. There may be some 50, 20, or 500 edges, whose one endpoint is these 3. So that's the vertex cover. Okay, so you have this 3 vertex cover. So what you do on this vertex cover, every vertex you give 1, every other outside vertex you give 0. So that will satisfy, and the minimum value will be 3. That's what. So that is the way of translating. So anyway, I mean, this is translation. In translation in English word. Okay, this problem is getting translated. Like computers, I mean, the algorithm word would be reduction. Okay. Anyway, so because the minimum vertex cover problem is known to be NP complete, I mean, this is old proof by Karp only. So this solving this integer linear programming problem and finding some algorithm for this is not that, I mean, is not possible as of here. Okay, that is what is understood till now. Okay, unless somebody proves that NP and P, I mean, they are same or something like that. Anyway, so what is in the absence of that, what people do? People approach this problem by giving some methods which appears to be very, like, to be applicable, very, like, which appears to be very nice, and which turns out to be very nice. Of course, theoretically, nobody can say about complexity. Like everything that you, every method you give will turn out to be, I mean, exponential. Yeah. So one method to solve an ILP is by complete enumeration. Imagine in my problem, I had one more constraint which would say, okay, I mean, R plus B is less than equal to this much. I mean, that this side, the bottom side. Then there would be some finitely many lattice points. Lattice points means points with integer coefficients inside the feasible region. If I do not have any solution, I will like brute force, apply brute force to find out the, I mean, enumerate the whole, I mean, the function at all the possible lattice points available. So that, I mean, that is time taking, and for more variables, and I mean, it is easily, I mean, sometimes it turns out to be very quick, sometimes more often it will be frustrating. Okay, frustratingly more. So the second way is the following. I mean, there are some, I mean, these are all ad hoc type of methods supplied by many people. The second one is the branch and bound method. Okay, what is that? Not 2R plus 5B. I wanted 6R plus 5B. Oh, this is probably 6R plus 5B. 6R plus 5B, what is the minimum? Okay, this is 0.5. So the value is 6R plus 5B, 25. At 5 by 3, 5 by 3, what is it? This is what? 11 into 5, 55 by, right? 6R plus 5B, 55 by 3. That's, so this is 18.33. Okay, so that must be this thing. What about this one? 6R plus 5B. What is this? 120, 162, 142, 142 by like 162, 182 by 7. So that's 26. And this one 90, 90. So that's 54. That's bigger. Yeah. So the minimum is here. This is for LPP. So this is called the branch and bound method. So the first step in the branch and bound method is that they do it for the LP, I mean the corresponding LPP. So they call it the LP relaxation. That, like, the condition is R and B should be integer, and that is now relaxed positive integers, okay, non-negative integers, R and B belonging to Z plus. R and B belonging to Z plus means R and B are integers greater than or equal to 0. That condition is now relaxed to R, B greater than or equal to 0 real numbers. So that is the LPP. So that is also called, the term is LP relaxation. So that is solved. Once you solve, you get a minimum cost solution, okay, for the LP relaxation. So you understand, whatever whatever solution will be there to your ILP, the integer linear programming, the cost will be at least 19, because here for the linear programming you are getting 18.33. okay, so that cost would be at least 19, because I mean my these things are also integer, everything. Okay, so this is a lower bound of the value, optimal value that I am looking for. I do not know. At this stage, if you know any integer feasible point, okay, then I can take that into account, and I would search for integer points having value less than that. So that will be treated as an upper bound. For if you do not have, if you do not know, you just put that equal to infinity. That will be. Here, for example, you can take arbitrarily. I mean, I have just taken 5, 5. I know that 5, 5 satisfies this. So this thing. But otherwise, you could directly take it to be infinity if you do not know. I mean, if the computer does not know whether there is at all one feasible point of, I mean, integer coordinates, but that's fine. Okay. So I will store this information as node 1. Okay. This 1 stands for node. Upper bound. Now I have got my upper bound. I mean, upper bound is 55. Attend at 0.55. Lower bound is 55 by 3. Attend at 0.5 by 3, 5 by 3. Okay, that's what is the case. Now comes the branching. So it is basically divide and rule. What is that? Very good. Okay. And notice that, so this is RB, our coordinates are RB. Now notice that at the optimal solution that I am seeing, that value is attend at 5 by 3, 5 by 3, and 5 by 3, the R value 5 by 3, first coordinate 5 by 3, lies between R less than equal to 1, R less than equal to 2. So then what I do, I divide the feasible set into two parts. One part is R less than equal to 1, and the other part is R greater than equal to 2, because anything in the open interval 1, 2, I am not looking for R to take that value. Essentially, what you are doing now, you are looking for R less than equal to 1, so that is this side, that is R less than equal to 1 part of the feasible set, this side. And then R greater than equal to 2 of the feasible set. This one and this one. Okay, this is a vertex, remember. So I am now searching for solutions. So the idea is I can now search for solution in part A and in part B. Okay. So R less than equal to 1 and R greater than equal to 2. So accordingly, I create two different LPP. LPP2, node 1 is LPP1 I have written. Now LPP2 is minimize 6R plus 5B, here R less than equal to 1, R and B greater than equal to 0. This is the LPP. And LPP3 I have used R greater than equal to 2, RB greater than equal to 0. I have created two LPP. Now what do I do? Now I know how to solve LPP, so I will solve LPP2 and LPP3. By what? Now by simplex method. What is that? Why is the reason I learned simplex method if I do not want to use? Okay, so I used simplex method. So now you look at the graph itself. If you are checking R less than equal to 1, it is this left hand side part, this part only. And how many vertices it has? Now it has only two vertices. One vertex is here, one vertex is here. Well, if R is equal to 1, and this is the line, what is this line? This one is 4R plus 2B, right? This is 4R plus 2B equal to 10. Okay, so what is this? Now if R is equal to 1, so then B is equal to 3. Yep, array, I should have seen the grid. So this is 1, 3. This point is 1, 3. So what is the value of the function over here? Now 6R plus 5B, that would be 21. So this value is 21. I got value 21. And at 0.5 I already know that value is 25. So over this region, the minimum value is 21 attained at 1,3. And over this, now over this, the are the vertices. What are the vertices? Now because it is 2, and this one is, this line is 2r plus 4b equal to 10. 2r, so 4b, so this is 5 by 2. So this point is 2 comma 1.5. This one is 2 comma 1.5. So what is the value of the function? Now 6r plus 5b. 6r is 12, 5b 7.5, 19.5. This one is 19.5. Okay. And what about but 27 by 7, 4 by 7, I already know, that is 26. And at 9 I already know, 90 I already know, that is huge. So therefore the other one I got is how much? 19.5 at to 1.5. Okay, so I store those as node 2 and 3. Yeah, so then this is 19.5 only, right? This is correct. This was the r less than equal to 1. And here I have not written any upper bound, lower bound, because I have got a minimum value at integer points, just the value. And now I have used upper bound equal to 21 because I have found, I already know that I have found one integer feasible point at which the value is 21. So the upper bound is 21 and it can, I mean, only go down, down and down. So it's okay. And the lower bound, this is actually the value obtained. This is the minimum value for the second one. So since the first one is, I have found over all possible integer points in the first region, the minimum is attained at an integer point at a lattice point 1,3 and the value is 21. So that finishes the problem there. I don't have to do any branching over here, but I have to do the branching over here for 3. So for 3, what I do, for node 3 I can do the branching. This is 3.2. so therefore again I mean b less than equal to 1 and b less than greater than equal to 2, that branching can be done. Okay, so let us do that. Here what I am going to do now, b less than equal to 1 of the second part, b less than equal to 1 and b greater than equal to 2. Now if you are doing b less than equal to 1, then this is the part that you are seeing of the feasible region. Okay, b less than equal to 1. This is the part of the feasible region that you are seeing. So what is this point where it will I mean b equal to 1 cut? If b equal to 1 will cut, this is b equal to 1, so r will be equal to 3. Okay, this line where b equal to 1 is cutting the line 2r plus 4b equal to 10, and so that is the point 3 comma 1. This is the point 3 comma 1, and at 3 comma 1 the value is 6r plus 5b, that is 23. This value is 23. And what is this vertex? Now this vertex I already know what was that, 27 by 7, 4 by 7, whatever what was that, the value was 26. And the other vertex is 9 comma 0, and I already know in this region if I am looking to minimize 6r plus 5b LPP, then because there are only 3 vertices, it will be minimized at 3 comma 1, 23. Okay, and then the other part is that b greater than equal to 2, and so that will be this region only, this side. and this region has only one vertex, and that vertex is equal to 2 comma 2. Okay, and at 2 comma 2, 6r plus 5b, that is 22. So on one region I have got it minimized. So when I am dividing this node 3 into 2 branches, I am finding 2 regions, and in both the region, over all lattice points, in fact over every point, the function is minimized. At one place it is minimized at 3 comma 1 and the minimum value is 23. At the other region it is minimized at 2 comma 2 and the minimum value is 22. Right? 2 comma 2, it was 22. And therefore I immediately realize, so I get that. Okay, this is one is b less than equal to 1. The minimum is obtained at 3 comma 1 of value 23. The other one that I did is obtained at 2 comma 2 and the value is 22. That's it. So I understood that this node 2 must be giving me the minimum. So the minimum value is 21 and the minimum solution is 1 comma 3. Okay, so this is what is called the branch and bound. Some people in your algorithmic language, they would say divide and conquer, those kind of things. Those are some flashy words. You just branch. Branching means you are cutting out, dividing the feasible set into parts, and then in such a way that after all these parts, so and you are throwing out few unnecessary parts. Okay, and in such a way that you, like in one part the actual LPP is getting minimized at a lattice point and the minimum value is this. Then it basically says in over this region, in whatever lattice points you have, their value definitely will be also greater than equal to this minimum value. So there is no way you will get anything better over here. And so this is what you are doing. So what we have done, finally we have 2, 4 and 5. These are the branchings ultimately we have done, and we have seen that any lattice point will lie either the region shown by node 2 or the region shown by node 4 or the region shown by node 5. Now for all lattice points in node 5, the minimum value is 22. For all lattice points in node 4, the minimum value is 23. So therefore, I do not have any chance of getting a minimal lattice point from there. The only minimum lattice point is 1, 3 and value is 21. Okay, so just try this one, just one exercise, because in order to you try this one at home, it is better. So I can give you a bigger one, but that's not the case. In that case, then you will have to, if you have a simplex algorithm ready with you, then you can try bigger, so that you fit the simplex, the ABC, and then get the minimum and then proceed. Okay, otherwise you try this. Yeah, any questions? You have any questions? The lecture is over. Everything is finished now for this class. As I said earlier also, you can expect the answer scripts Maybe by the evening of Tuesday or something, I can give you that. If you have any questions, ask me.